Good evening, everyone. I will call this meeting to order. Newfane Selectboard, Monday the 3rd of February, moving right along. As far as the first item on our agenda pertaining to additions or amendments to the agenda, I would like to recommend that we move Mr. Fisher up on the agenda so that he can get out of here. Not that I don't want to let everybody else get out of here, but. At this.
Make a motion on that, or?
Yeah, that would, I will amend, I'll change the agenda. I don't need a motion.
Okay.
You can, I'll go to jail for it. I would like to go through the minutes of January 21st. Does anyone have any comments, suggestions, additions, or corrections?
I wasn't here, so.
Yeah, motion.
I make a motion to accept the January 21st meeting
I'll
minutes.
second it.
There's a motion on the table. All in favor of it, please say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to cover road business too, Jay.
I met with a representative from Nikon, gave us suggestions and pricing on crack sealing the pavement. We also prioritized the road sealing, the crack sealing in town for the next couple of years. By doing this, we should be able to get a little longer from the pavement. The sand salt shed project should be on the agenda for review at the next meeting. We received the AOT environmental approval on the Depot Road box culvert, so things are moving a little forward at least. So last week, Wade from VLCT came to the garage and did an inspection. He's made suggestions for us to complete like he did with the office in Waynesville Hall. One item he wanted was the load rating posted on the upstairs parts area. The engineer had done this when the building was completed, so we just need to locate it and post it. Another suggestion is VLCT's online training, which I've been completing. They're, I don't know, 15 maybe different ones. They're an hour to an hour and a half each. So I'll keep working on those.
Is that for the road foreman specifically?
No, it's, well,
Different kinds of stuff?
town garage stuff, you know, machine guarding, PPE, protective equipment,
Yeah. Safety stuff.
compressed gases, because we have tanks for the torch. So we have to have all of those, and then I have to turn around and explain some of that to the guys and document that we talked about it. And
Right.
so. Jeff Nugent from Wyndham Regional Commission has loaded the erosion and inventory, culvert inventory onto my iPad so I can use it while out and on the road. It works nice because you can actually locate their segments where they start and stop, and you can actually see the notes from culverts as you're going over them, what they are, so it should be kind of handy. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions, anything for Jay? So we'll have a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve it.
I second.
Is there discussion on the motion before us? Hearing none, all in favor of approving Jay's report, please say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. I would now entertain a motion to go into executive session with our attorney and our administrative assistant on a legal matter.
I would make that motion.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Apologies to everyone else, but we gotta get this one going. Thank you. In open session, and I would entertain a motion to invite Mr. McFadden to a future select board meeting to continue discussion on the solar field question.
With Bob Fisher. Attorney
With Mr. Fisher.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Is there discussion on the motion before us? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, we'll keep in touch, and thank you for your
Thank you, everybody.
efforts.
Enjoy your night.
You too.
Back to the agenda as original. Administrative Assistance Report, please, thank you.
The town report was sent off to the printers on Friday. I will have the proof back by February 11th to make any changes needed. Town report will be delivered here by the 20th and need to be mailed no later than the 22nd, which will be 10 days before town meeting. On Friday, January 31st, I received an email from Wyndham Regional Commission. They had found a problem with the mapping documents from the US Census Bureau that we were given and notified me that this has been, until this has been corrected, I need not send in that document. They will let me know. There's a boundary that is inaccurate and it's not listing 16 homes on one property. I attached the email to my administrative report for clarification.
Thank you. That's it, and
That's it. I've been busy.
thank you.
Great job on the report.
Thank you.
What do we-
Motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Discussion on the motion before us. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Now, the good part of the meeting, unscheduled members of the public.
I am
You are,
actually a scheduled member of the public who, in order to save the town money, did not use the ink to get on the schedule. I came in this morning, so.
no problem.
So I'm often in no man's land, so it's a bully place. I have to say, what a sense of deja vu it gives me, Mr. Chairman, to see you back in that chair, where we're pretty close to where I started out with you in my service on the board.
I don't remember that so long ago.
Well, Mike Rowan was chair when I started, then I think you filled in for a little while, and then I filled in. I was elected, but then headed off to the legislature, so I think you resumed the chair, and it's nice to see you back there again in any event. We had good times. I wanted to just commend Dick Merrick, just for the record and for public television, so they know who it is. I wanted to just give you a quick update now that we seem to be into a premature spring about the work we've been doing up on the hill at the first common and the first burying ground. We have substantially completed clearing that. We've got some logs to still get out of there, and Bucky Pelsu was very helpful last fall with chainsawing and helping, and he's volunteered to help with his tractor this spring, probably around April when the snow disappears. We'll get the rest of that cleared. We enlisted Gary Katz to make some more sign containers. He had made the one for the front of the common. Barb Barber has faithfully promised me that she will get that sign back up. The ink faded on it after the first season, so she's redoing it in real house paint. So we'll get that sign back in. We put up a replacement sign with the help of Mel Martin, who did the layout for us after we had the text worked out. We did a replacement sign for the Newfane Hill Cemetery that we got in last fall. We added some information on that. We added information about the various veterans who were buried there, what wars they were in, some other things. We basically replaced the Stuart Halliday sign. We tried to keep as close to his style as we could, but it's on a sort of an anodized metal background. So with that and the pressure treated casing, it will probably outlast all of us, which is a good thing. We won't have to face dealing with it again. But the old sign that was just about completely deteriorated. It was torn down the middle from the temperature changes and the wood was going, so we decided that we would help out. Gary Katz made that case. He made the one for the front of the common, and he also made one for the burying ground, the first burying ground back on the corner of Otis Lane. So we are getting ready to put that one in the spring when the ground thaws again. We have found 19 marked burials in the first burying ground, which was used from 1773 to 1795. There are no gravestones there. There's one memorial marker that we think was put in the 1890s for Mrs. Park, who was the mother of the first child, and she's actually buried there somewhere. We found 19 burials that are marked with groups of field stones lying flat on the ground, which have gradually been popping up here and there as we clean the brush out. We keep kicking over one of them, finding stones. So that's kind of the snapshot. I brought along a copy, which I assume you can have copied and each have a copy of the text of the sign that's going to be up there, which I thought might be of some historical interest for you. We know 7 of the people who were buried there from various, or 12 people I should say, from various records. Park family members and the Sawtelle family who died in the fire up there in the 1780s. We know they're buried there from pretty good historical records. We also have from the journal of the first minister of Newfane, Hezekiah Taylor, who was minister from 1774 to 1810. We know all the other deaths that occurred in Newfane during the period that that cemetery was open up to 1795. So we have a list that is going to be on the sign of people who could be buried there. I'm pretty confident that a lot of the burials were probably marked with wooden markers, which have left no trace at all. But we know that they went to the Hill Cemetery in 1795 because the one up there was getting fairly crowded, and the 19 burials don't occupy that big a piece of it. So there obviously were a lot of other burials up there, and there were quite a few other deaths during that period. About 2/3 of them children who tended to die young or else survive to a ripe old age usually. So we've got a lot of stuff done. The request I have tonight for you, since I knew you'd want to have some role in this, we managed to get the wood donated from WW for the signs. Gary Katz donated his labor, Mel Martin donated his work, and we got the fund for the Newfane Hill Cemetery to pay for the anodized signs for the 2 burying grounds. So far we've had no public funds expended. What we would love to get though is to keep that area clear so it doesn't go back to woods. Would be to have Mark Ray start adding that to his clearance list for maintenance of the old common, since it's all part of the old common. It goes back to the jail area. For those of you who haven't been up there, and if you're interested, I'd be happy when the snow melts and it dries out a little bit, go up there with you. We've cleared out the area, a trail back to where the first jail and the jailkeeper's house was in a well. We found the foundation of what we discovered from the minutes of the early town meetings here. It was a schoolhouse, the first school that was in that same area. And then we cleared another trail back to the corner, and we've cleared the entire first burying ground, which is about 2/3 of an acre. So the goal now is to keep that from going back to the jungle it was, where literally when we went in there, I wouldn't have been able to see any of you if I was sitting here and you were there. It was just totally overgrown. So we'd like to get Mark to add that to his list. I'd be happy to meet with him in the spring and show him, what would need to be. It's basically weed whacking a couple times a season to keep it from growing back up. So that's one thing. The other thing that maybe in the future is that I would kind of like to see if I could find a place that might be able to give us something like a taller version of the markers they use for veterans' graves, and the post with a little medallion device on it, so we can have something that says, the burial of one of the first settlers in Newfane, because these were really the founding people of Newfane for the most part up there. It was used in the period before there was a cemetery down the hill, before the one up behind here by Mantell's, which dated a little bit later, but this was the first burying. It's one of the first burying grounds in Vermont, as far as I can tell, from the old cemetery association. So it's kind of an interesting project, but we'd like to keep it. We'd like to keep it from going back to jungle. So,
Could I ask?
that's my
A
pitch.
couple quickies.
Sure.
What's the approximate size of the area that that you would have Mark work on?
It's probably under an acre. I'd say it's a little bigger than the area he currently does, but most of it is cleared enough so it really just requires some weed whacking to keep it down. We've grubbed out a lot of the roots of things, so hopefully that's going to keep it. And I want to actually continue doing some of that, take out some of the smaller stumps so that they don't keep putting up a lot of growth. But it's not a huge area, and some of it's relatively clear anyhow. The area sort of in front of the jail gets very little growth. It's fairly heavily shaded by mature trees. So that area gets nothing. A good bit of the burying ground, which is, as I said, maybe half to 2/3 an acre, half of that or more is ferns, and I wouldn't touch those. I'd leave those as they are. So you're probably talking a 1/4 acre there at the best.
Of course, the basis for my question is our budget's all set,
Yeah, right.
but maybe we can be flexible enough to take this under our wing, even with the current budget, and then,
My guess is it's somewhere
Sure, for
around
free.
there
yeah.
from the standpoint of the budget.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out.
Yeah, no, it's a
Yeah.
very valid question.
I have another thought too. Have you thought about writing grants though, through the town? To be able to maintain that
I'm not
as a
sure who we could get
preservation?
to
yeah.
fund it. Usually, when cemeteries are created, there's usually a fund created to,
But I'm
a
saying,
perpetual
state of
fund.
Vermont, they have a lot of different
Well,
grants here.
There might be, I don't know of any offhand that we fit, but there could be.
There might be enough interest in town or in the county to work on establishing a fund
Mhm.
that would work for the future, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and
Wild
that
idea.
that's not a bad idea at all. And I don't think it would have to be a huge fund to generate enough to pay for clearing it 3 or 4 times a year, maybe.
What was the
I went
other
up there, I
question?
saw a lot of it
What was your
cleared
other
out.
question?
I saw a lot of clearing. I was like amazed
Yeah, it was.
how much had been cleared
It's
out.
pretty much all been hand clearing too, because it was so thick that you couldn't
I was
use
thinking
anything
there was a
else.
lot of older people too doing that.
Speaking as one of them.
Boy
You've really done a
Scouts.
great job with
I
that.
made the comment when I did the little walking tour that I wasn't English, but I left 40 pounds up there.
It's a good job for Boy Scouts to,
Yeah, that would be the sort of thing, we wanted to be careful of it as we worked on it, that we had people who knew what they were doing. We'd like to actually, we've had one conversation, I think, Laura Bacon, with the state archaeologist about the possibility of looking at doing a dig up there at some point in some area, maybe try to find where the refuse heap was for the jail and the school, see what's in there, and have some museum quality items, hopefully.
yeah.
So far, we found some shards of pottery and 2 or 3 buttons, but
Maybe it's another Oak Island.
On the potential markers for supposed veterans, I wonder if there might be some help from one of the service organizations.
well, these are burials of, we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
We know who 12 people are who were buried there. We don't know if any of these markers are for them, but I don't know of any offhand who I've identified as a veteran who are in there. They're early settlers, but I don't know of any of them that I found any link to the only French and Indian War veteran we have in Newfane is Luke Knowlton, and he's buried in the Newfane Hill Cemetery. And I did discover that they didn't know that he was a veteran, so I talked to Bob Litchfield, who puts the flags up, and said, you probably should add Luke to your list, because he's our earliest earliest veteran.
Well, certainly these people wear their own Department of Defense.
Yeah. There are 2 militiamen who the Centennial History of Newfane says are buried about 1,000 feet from the courthouse in the woods, but their graves were lost even in 1875 when they wrote the Centennial History. So we know there are 2 militiamen from Fort Dummer who were killed in an Indian skirmish who are up there, but we don't know where they are. So we give a mention in here, but And I'm not sure I want to indicate too clearly where they are, because somebody will go up there and decide to do a dig of their own. So anyway, that was my reason for being here.
Thank you, appreciate
Okay.
it.
I'll tender this to you and.
Okay, or give it to the boss.
Okay.
Does the board feel that we can go ahead and ask Mark to work on this using our existing budget? If we go a little over, so what?
I don't think it hurts for him to have a conversation with Mr. Merrick and to
Well, I
see
think
what.
that's great, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's perfect, to have a conversation and then come back and talk some more.
Yeah, okay. See what he thinks should be involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think just to put this in stone, could I have a motion to,
I'll make that motion.
I'll
thank
second.
Whatever.
to have, to ask Mark Gray to take on minimum maintenance of the area and to meet with Mr. Merrick. All in favor?
Aye.
That's not,
You know, I'm gonna say you have a much more cooperative board than I ever had, because they approved the motion before they even heard what we were moving. That's raw power.
We work well together.
Well, you know, I mean, there's one good thing about doing something like this anyways, because
yes,
just like she said, it's, you know, the same with like a lot of our boards.
Yeah,
We're all older people.
yeah,
We gotta start bringing in some younger blood
yeah.
to do some of this stuff, and
Yeah.
at least if you put it in this, that we're gonna Mark going up and mowing the thing once or twice a year, it's gonna go on for a long time.
I go up there
Yeah.
and commune with nature and.
You know, use it
Yeah,
as-
and I've seen a fair number of people actually using it to walk through, and I'd like to get a hold of the school and maybe arrange to get some of the kids up there.
We used to do
And the
field
cell
trips up
service
there
up
when
there
I was
too.
younger through the elementary school, so it's nice to see it cleared up again so that the kids can go up
Yeah,
I never
and learn
been
about
there.
their history.
we also have about 8 or 10, we used Gary as much as we could before he disappeared, Gary Katz. We've got about 8 or 10 posts and small little platform things that we're gonna use to put, because things like the jail keeper's house, the cellar hole is there, but there's no marker for that. There's a marker that the jail was there. There's no marker for the school. There's nothing in the front that tells you there's anything in the back. So we're gonna try to spot some of those around to get more information.
Yes.
And they're the same type of thing we used at the railroad station, to be able to give information about different spots around the locale. So I think that makes it more interesting for people too.
My daughter went up here once during one of the school things, because I never knew nothing about it really until she brought it up one day. She said something about a whipping post or
Yeah.
some kind of change.
Yeah, well, the whipping post, yeah, the last person whipped in the state of Vermont was
Was up there, so she see that, I didn't know, maybe the teacher just told them that, so they make them behave.
And we used to go, I went to Newbrook Elementary School, or it was Newfane Elementary School at the time, and we used to go up regularly for field trips to learn about our history.
the early history. Yeah,
Seymour
yeah.
stores up
I
there.
see that.
Yeah, and kids I think enjoy that, and they learn history in a way that's palatable as opposed to memorizing dates and,
Well, that's one of the things she
That's right.
remembers every time we go by it now.
yeah.
have you, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No?
Have you anyone in mind that could build a new whipping post?
That'd be a good idea.
The danger is who they decide to use as the whippy.
I used to be a living history tour guide for the Philip Schuyler Country House. So I'm totally into living history and
Yeah.
telling the history.
Doing that is.
In costume.
Yeah, well, I would point out that the history of the 250th anniversary of the formation of the town of Newfane was coming up in 4 years. And we've already started having a little bit of conversation in the Historical Society about that, but we ought to wake up on that one, because that really shouldn't go unmarked.
Yeah. The other thing is that I also was involved with an old cemetery in Saratoga Springs, New York. And all the founding fathers were buried there. And we had an author or a playwright actually create a play, and I presented it to the public of all the different people that were buried and what their history might be and different you know, they came out from behind the stones, basically, and told their stories.
Yeah,
So if you could find somebody to write a role play.
Yeah, and some groups have done that, and have done it as a, you know, as fundraisers for that matter.
Yes.
Around in the autumn, around Halloween, Friends versus Michigan had a very successful.
Did you do it on site?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, you do it right at the location, and we certainly have a lot of interesting stories.
So if there's some, I'm sure there's a writer out there who'd love to do that.
Doing scripts.
Yeah.
Thank you,
A lot
sir.
of ideas.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Comment,
Before you leave,
Yes.
yes.
I quickly Googled grants for cemeteries.
Uh-huh.
I 20 plus, then I Googled
Yeah.
grants for Vermont cemeteries. I'd if you've got somebody who's Googleable on your group, I'd suggest that's an avenue for the future
Yeah,
to,
we'll take a look.
yeah, and involve the community in
Yeah.
what's going on,
Yeah.
and the kids, as you were saying. So.
Yeah, get more people into it.
Yeah, so it's the Vermont Preservation Trust
Yes.
and a lot of
Everything.
grants for preserving cemeteries.
Okay.
And also doing the sonograms under the ground and finding where burials can be that you're not aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roger Albee had thought he had some sources for that as well. For that, we may up the number of markers we need though, so we have to be careful with the balance.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Suggest
you,
metal,
sir.
Thank you.
suggest metal markers.
Thank you, Linda.
Not wooden.
That was awesome.
So another 200 years we can find people.
Okay, the next item on the agenda doesn't need much, except that there is a hearing as required by law to be held by the select board. Let me just read, Newfane Selectboard hold a public hearing as provided for in 24 VSA 4442 at 5 p.m. Wednesday, February 19th, 2020, at the Newfane Town Office to hear comment on a proposed amendment to Article 3, Section 343 of the Newfane zoning bylaws to establish natural burial as a conditional use in resource districts in the town. So 5 o'clock on the 19th, here, the select board's hearing. And
We're having a hearing?
we have to.
Okay.
I mean, unless you want to.
I'm just asking.
Unless you want to move, we talked about it earlier, and I
Okay.
agreed to.
No, I'm
to
not
warn
saying,
it.
I'm just saying it's a hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it in my calendar.
Okey-dokey. Next item is broadband wireless, and I feel just far short of ridiculous bringing this up because I know nothing really about it, except that broadband has to do with quality of communication of various sorts, and there are areas that have good broadband coverage and there are areas that do not. The state of Vermont has just made it possible to do some preliminary exploration, if that's the right word, in towns to try to find out in this area, is to try to find out what towns, what areas in town are either not served or unserved, and in many people's minds, unserved is not served. There's not a big difference. There've been a couple of meetings so far. The state put out a grant. There've been some meetings, I've been to 2, where they talked about the process, which is aimed at deciding where these areas of non-service are, by doing a survey, and then taking the results of that survey to make it come up with a potential business plan for getting coverage into those areas. On Thursday of this week, there will be a meeting at Newbrook. I'm not exactly sure what time, but
6.
I didn't see if I could find out before we break up tonight.
I believe it's 6 o'clock.
I think it is too. I probably have it written in here.
It's at Newbrook Fire Station or the school?
Fire station.
It's fire station. And that meeting, I understand, is to be dedicated to the survey. Which brings us to what I think is Newfane's biggest problem. How do we get everyone in the town of Newfane to, one, get a survey, encourage them to fill it out and get it back so that the next step and possibly the next steps can be taken.
I think we put it on front porch with a link with a copy of the survey.
Yeah, but
People can
the
send it.
problem is that people without broadband, without connection, don't go on the front porch.
Unless they're at work.
So the planning commission did a survey a year and a half ago. We had a response of 151 respondents and would have had more if we had known that there's a switch that you can, we do Survey Monkey is what it's called. And there's a switch that you click and you say more than one person can answer the survey on the same computer. So we had couples that only one person really could answer. So I think we would have had probably about 175 if instead of 151. What we did was we placed the survey in both post offices. We did door-to-door mail that told people where the survey was, because that can just be a flyer and that's cheap. That's $150, I think, for the whole town. We did that. We did the $35 ad on the bottom of the page on the Commons and the Reformer. We did the signs, the sandwich board signs.
At the town hall.
And we also had a community forum that told people what was going to happen. So we did every way that we possibly could by mail, by and the other thing we did was we let people, you could either fill it out by paper or you could do it online. And doing it online, anybody who wanted to, they could do it on a and if by paper, then they drop it off at the town office, and then Angela and I went through and entered the results from that. And it sounds like it's going to be a pretty simple survey. I know when we did our survey, one of the big things was that people didn't have broadband and they didn't have cell service. So I volunteer to help on that.
You've just been appointed chair.
I second that.
You gonna volunteer?
Do you expect,
I volunteer.
would you expect that that survey is quickly and easily available, a copy of it?
Oh, the old one?
Yeah.
The old one that we did?
The old one that you
Yeah.
did, yeah. Because I think I'd love to look at it before I go to this full meeting, this group,
Yeah. Sure.
Thursday evening.
Once the filming gets done, I'll pull it out of the drawer.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm very surprised by your saying that you made it available at the post offices.
Yeah, I remember when you did that survey. It was all.
We asked and they said, okay.
Because I can remember at least once when I was told nothing that does not have something to do with post office business can be done in there. So we'll try again.
It was our lucky day.
It's worth a try.
The Williamsville Post Office allows us to actually, in addition to town meetings and agenda, they actually let us, if there's an event going on that is about the area and the town, the villages, they let us post that.
I suspect.
Or I should say, they post it for us, we hand it to them.
Yeah, well,
We
I
don't post.
suspect that things may change with people changing and so forth. I'll have more on this after Thursday, but my immediate reaction was that we may very well have to mail something, and I hope it's one piece of paper, very quick and easy and inexpensive, to everybody, to say we did give everybody a chance to answer. Because a lot of people, Survey Monkey, you gotta get to it. For a porch, you gotta get to it.
Or do you want to have something where then people mail it back to you?
Well, I think that certainly is to be discussed. There may be some discussion on it Thursday evening. It may be that they want it to go to one central location like in the regional. We'll tiptoe into this and see where we come out.
Can I also add the fact that Southern Vermont cable telephone, all that is being sold off. And a lot of
Yes.
people are very upset about it.
To Comcast, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the concern
That meeting is tomorrow evening.
over in Landmark College.
Yes, Landmark College.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a
Yep.
Well, and I just got an update that Comcast, who's supposedly taking over Southern Vermont Cable, is raising its rates, not just
Of
for cable, but also for internet and also for the different
everyone.
subscription
For everything.
rates.
It's gonna be very expensive.
Just cable is expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $160, I pay $160 for it, and I
Pay
do that
$142
because otherwise I
for
don't
the
get
triple
internet.
play for Southern Vermont.
how much?
142?
That's
I
about.
got everything. I paid $204.
And I paid
From Southern
207.
Vermont?
Then you
Oh my
must have
God.
different stations.
I have the
No.
triple play and I pay probably 140,
But see, why I do,
150 a month.
because I got programs for the kiddies.
Oh, yeah, you have extras.
207.
Wow.
Don't fight.
HBO and all those things.
It gets expensive.
No, I do to Netflix and Prime, but that
But those
doesn't
are
go-
separate.
Those are separate.
No, those are separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But
no,
if you don't
was
have
saying-
internet.
So
you can't
anyway.
do it.
Yeah.
On broadband, after Thursday, I'll know a little bit more, and next Tuesday, not next Tuesday, but Tuesday, the 18th, I think, is our next select board meeting. Tuesday, because Monday is a holiday, and I'll try to get as much information to you as I can then, if not before then.
I will not be at that meeting, I apologize.
Your next meeting, excuse me, is Tuesday, February 18th. I think I wrote it down.
Anything else under new business? Do you have anything you'd like to add to what I
No, thank you.
stumblingly brought forward?
You did perfect. I'm proud. I'm
Okay.
proud to be your backup.
So then on the 18th is the select board meeting, and then there's the hearing for
The next night at 5.
at 5
I
o'clock.
suspect we'll be out of here pretty soon, quick.
And the hearing is for what again?
It's for Article 3 of the bylaws to add
This is
the,
an amendment to the zoning
Burial.
bylaws.
Oh, it is the big area. Okay.
Can I speak to that? I
Yes.
just will say, when the planning commission had our hearing for that, we had about 12 people come supporting that. I was, usually the planning commission has a hearing and nobody shows up. One person, two. This was like, we had a whole audience. We had to get extra chairs. It was great.
that is awesome.
Good.
Correspondence? Maybe.
Sorry.
Correspondence?
Yeah, I was just trying to remember one other thing that I had thought of and had not unthought of.
And then you rethought it.
I did. Correspondence, we have a hefty piece of correspondence here from Downs, Rackler, and Martin, which in essence says they're going to make some modifications to the cell tower on Oak Hill. they intend, it is an intention to do that. I have to admit, I'm not sure whether there's any kind of a
Their plan is to upgrade from a 4 gig to a 5 gig.
yeah, my question of myself and so forth is whether there is any already scheduled hearing on this proposal, or what is the process for our doing so if we decided we wanted to.
I thought they already did that.
Sorry?
I thought they already did it.
I don't know. Is there a feeling in, among the board members that we ought to get further information and look at it more, or just let her fly?
Well, you
Let her
said,
fly.
did you say Oak Hill?
Mhm.
Is that up on Browns?
Our one cell tower.
It's around the parish.
Parish.
Oh, it's over on Parish?
You go over Grimes Hill, you headed towards Williamsville. You look, just you start down, you look straight forward, you'll see the tower.
Really? Into Waynesville?
Yeah.
It's a
Off
favorite.
Grantsville. Off Grantsville. I'll go right.
Come to my house, I'll show it to you.
But isn't there one also off of Browns?
Yeah,
Yeah,
AT&T? Yeah.
they put that one in up on the Bill Statz's. They did one up to Stub Thomas's on Dover Mountain at the exact same time.
yeah.
I think I just let them do what they do.
It would, okay, Mike?
Well, it just says that AT&T proposes to modify telecommunications antennas and equipment at the existing telecommunications facility, so they're just looking to upgrade that one spot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that in essence will help folks with this broadband issue, so I don't see why we shouldn't go forward with it.
Yeah, I think you just notifying us to let us know what they're doing, that's
I
it.
think at this point, we keep an eye on it, and if anybody gets upset, we decide whether we go with them or what. Thank you. Is there anything else that anyone would like to bring before us at this point? Hearing none, I would say that we will go to pay orders and eventually adjourn. Eventually.